Hello, white people. In the news today, I saw that White Castle is giving out free desserts to people who show their CV19 stab card. And you get a treat if you comply. You get something that's got high fructose corn syrup and GMO laden wheat and other stuff and red dye number. I don't remember what number it is, but causes cancer. And who eats this kind of food anyway? I can't eat it. It tastes terrible to me. So who eats this kind of food? And is there any correlation between people who eat garbage and people who got the CV19 stab? If you drive by a McDonald's, there's this huge line of people, getting this Frankenfood. But why is it that people are eating Frankenfood? It tastes terrible. Why do it? There's healthy alternatives that are easier than McDonald's and you don't have to wait. And what sort of mentality do people have? People don't plan ahead, and then they want, they script so bad, and then they want a quick fix. And it's a fact that people who eat Frankenfood, who live on Frankenfood, they don't live healthy lives. They have, like a bunch of health conditions, and they got to take a bunch of medication, and just to survive, just to get through each day. So is there any correlation between people who eat Frankenfood and people who voluntarily signed up and got the CV19 stab? And then I also wonder, what is the fear level? In the Bible it says over 200 times not to be afraid. And it's these people who are afraid. I know people who are devout Christian, and they read their Bible, and they still went and they got the CV19 stab. And what is this? Is this, because some people I've heard say, well, if I don't get the stab, then I won't be able to travel. It's like, wow. So, and kind of feels like, this is the mark of the beast, if, because they're promising, like CV19 passports. If you don't get your stab, then you can't do anything. You can't, go anywhere. It's kind of silly. You just have to sit back and wait till the hysteria dies down. You just can't go but it's afraid of the fear of missing out, FOMO. Is it the FOMO crowd that eats White Castle and, they want Frankenfood and they don't want to die? And speaking of dying, this older generation, it's really bizarre that they're scared. In generations past, it was the older generation that was the least scared. When I started out in nursing back when I was just a wee lass, I was taking care of people who were born in the late 1800s, and these people were extremely healthy, and they didn't have anxiety. And I noticed that people born after 1940, those are the people that had the most anxiety, or at least compared to people who were born in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So what was the correlation here? What are some things going on that are causing people to have so much anxiety? We know that people, move from rural areas into cities, and then, they want their Frankenfood. And is it all related to Frankenfood? And then the talking box and believing the talking box. Because, I remember back in 2001, and I watched the footage from, September 11th, 2001. I watched that footage, and I was watching the second plane going into the building, and I said, wow, this doesn't look real. It looks fake. It looks like something from a movie. And so I didn't take it real serious. But the way people acted, it freaked me out, and it freaked me out that they shut down the stock market for a few days, and I felt financially vulnerable, so I went out and I got 3 jobs. I don't know, I must be screwed up because I went out to do something to go and make my life better and protect myself. And people today, what are they doing? They are hunkering down and they're hiding, and they're expecting the government to take care of them, the government to be their daddy. People are getting, stimulus checks, and they're living off of that, and they're living off, the extra money that they get from unemployment. And then now I'm going to start talking about help wanted signs. There's a ton of help wanted signs all over the place, and I thought maybe it was just in the area that I was in, but after talking to people, there's help wanted signs everywhere, and businesses are having to close because they can't find enough help. Well, why is it that they can't find enough help? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, and and I can only make assumptions because I don't know exactly for sure, but I know back when ACA was passed, a lot of businesses cut back on the hours that they offered employees, because if they didn't give them full-time work, then they didn't have to pay them benefits. So maybe there's fewer people wanting to work because there's no full-time employment. These places just will give you like 3/4 employment. And then, of course, the financial incentives from the government to not work. That's another reason. And then the working conditions, people don't want to wear that face diaper, and places that are requiring employees to wear face diapers, they're probably places where they're having a hard time finding help. It's really hard to say exactly what's causing that, but I think that, and I could be assuming, I'm not sure, I think that might be an excuse now to bring in people from, doctors and engineers with entry-level experience to fill in these positions. We don't have a lot of diversity out here where I'm at, and people keep, every cultural group keeps to themselves, and so I think it'll be an incentive to make places that are homogenous and white, multicultural, because they'll bring in these people, and they'll justify it because people there are customers, but there's just not enough help to serve those customers, and but it's just probably because we're just getting ready for the big crash, and I'm surprised we didn't have the crash. I thought for sure we were going to have the financial crash back in 2018. But the last time that there was the crash, back in 2008, 2009, there was a lot of what would be called Me Too businesses. There was a lot of businesses that they were just going crazy because people had money to spend, and everybody started copying themselves. And then the businesses that copied other businesses, those are the ones that lost market share when the economy crashed. So who knows? Is this just the precursor to people spending money that's not theirs, and we're getting ready for the crash? Or is this the precursor for the government to bring in our replacement? It's really hard to say. All right, and so then the last thing I'm going to talk about is I was talking to the neighbor, and they were telling me that they got the CV19 stab, and they said that they were afraid that they were going to bring, disease home to their loved one who's already compromised, not really, like sickly all the time. And I said, all right, so how many CV19 bodies did you step over? I didn't step over any bodies. Did you step over any bodies? And she laughed, and she said, a lot of people who allegedly died, she knows this, that their death certificates were changed because they were falsified. And if you're not familiar with the incentive to falsify the documents, nursing homes and hospitals are getting money through the CARES Act to have CV19 patients and deaths. All right, white people, that's the damage for now. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your thoughts below.